The story of Joan of Arc, also known as the Maid of Orleans, is a remarkable tale of faith, courage, and divine inspiration, though it is not found in the Bible. Joan of Arc's story is rooted in Christian history, and she is remembered as a saint in the Catholic Church. Her life, set during the 15th century in medieval France, is a testament to her unwavering belief that she was called by God to lead her people in a time of crisis. Joan of Arc, the Maid of Orleans, was a simple peasant girl born in 1412 in the village of Domremy, France. She lived during a time when France was fighting a long and bitter war with England, called the 100 Years' War. At that time, large parts of northern France were controlled by the English, and the French king, Charles VII, had not yet been crowned because the country was divided and the English had strong power over France. At the age of 13, Joan began to hear what she called voices. These voices came from saints, particularly Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. They told her that God had chosen her for a special mission, to help save France and to make sure that Charles VII would become king. Even though Joan was a young girl with no military experience and came from a poor family, she believed with all her heart that God had called her. She was very determined to follow what she believed was God's will. When Joan was 16, she left her home and went to the nearby town of Vaucouleurs. She met with the local commander there and told him about her mission from God. At first, no one believed her, but after a while, her determination and her deep faith convinced some people to support her. Eventually, she was taken to meet Charles VII, the Dauphin, the French word for the heir to the throne. Joan told Charles that God had sent her to help him become king. To test her, Charles disguised himself among his court, but Joan immediately recognized him. Impressed by her conviction, Charles allowed Joan to lead an army to Orleans, a city under siege by the English. Joan, though only a teenage girl, was given armor and a banner with the names of Jesus and Mary on it. She led the French army to the city of Orleans, which had been under siege by the English for many months. Her presence inspired the French soldiers, and they fought with new hope. Joan bravely led several attacks on the English forces. Within days, the French army won a miraculous victory, forcing the English to leave Orleans. This victory was seen as a sign that Joan truly was sent by God, and it gave new life to the French cause. After the victory at Orleans, Joan knew her mission wasn't finished. Her voices told her that Charles VII had to be crowned king in Reims, the traditional city for French coronations. With Joan's help, the French army fought their way through enemy territory and finally reached Reims. On July 17, 1429, Charles was crowned king, and Joan stood proudly by his side, her mission seemingly fulfilled. But Joan's story didn't end with the coronation. In 1430, while leading a small army to defend the city of Compiègne, Joan was captured by the Burgundians, who were allies of the English. They handed her over to the English, who wanted to put an end to her influence. Joan was put on trial for heresy and witchcraft by a church court that was controlled by the English. Despite being only 19 and facing many skilled interrogators, Joan defended herself with courage and faith. She insisted that her voices came from God and that she had always acted in obedience to God's will. Sadly, the court found Joan guilty, and she was sentenced to death. On May 30th, 1431, Joan was taken to the marketplace in Rouen, where she was burned at the stake. Even in her final moments, Joan stayed faithful, crying out, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus," as she died. She was only 19 years old. Joan of Arc's story did not end with her death. Many years later, her trial was reviewed, and she was declared innocent. In 1920, she was officially made a saint by the Catholic Church, and today, she is remembered as one of France's greatest heroes. Joan's story is one of incredible bravery, faith, and determination. She was a young girl with no power or influence, but her belief in her divine mission helped her to change the course of history. She remains a symbol of courage and faith for people all over the world.